Yes, the question is, why don't they make Mexico great? Mexico is not great. Mexico is crime infested, and that's why people want to run here, because they fear there, and they fear here, and they fear everywhere, and that's not the way of life. You need to, they have, Mexico is for Mexicans. For me, I don't have a place that is particularly for my ethnicity. My ethnicity is here as an American first, because this is the land where my people bleed and suffered and overcame and over and built. Why can't you do the same in Mexico? Why do you have to come to another country to make money? Why isn't the peso or your money working for you? Especially when you got Spain that can be connected. You got all of the Latin countries. You got, not all Latin countries are suffering like Mexico. Not all countries are really suffering like most of the immigrants who have illegal immigrants who have trampled into our country forcefully, demanding what our people work hard for, that we're not even getting in our country, that we already have tyrants in our country and treasonous people in our country that are taking advantage of the American people in itself. And then on top of that, we have to deal with what they have put as a distraction, this thing, quote unquote, immigrants issues. It's almost as if basically what it is people want to destroy America. They do not want to make anything great. Because if they did want something great, they would stand up just where they are and make their own place great. You have to stand up. People every day in other countries are standing. People are standing up. Before I was rudely interrupted by the stream, people are standing up in their country every day to make their country great again. We elected a president. We don't have kings. Now, the cartel evidently are kings because they're able to make money off our taxpayers here in America, and at the same time kill most of our people with drugs. And on top of that, they get things done by running the people out of Mexico with all the crimes and the killings that they horrific killings that they commit, and stealing people's kids, teenage sons over in Mexico, and forcing them to be in gangs. That is a try. And I mean, unless they elect somebody who cares for the people in Mexico and not the cartels and treating them as kings, the no king needs to go to Mexico and say no kings in Mexico, because in America we're trying to straighten out the rich, the oligarchies who think that they can be royalty in our country. But they play both sides in a way. But the side they're playing right now is the Democratic side. In case you didn't know, the news media is ruled by many kings with big bucks and who hate what Trump is trying to do for America. And these are the same people who go into all these other countries and commit crimes as well, all in the name of greed and power. And it's our news media. Unfortunately, the reporters, they just work for these people. And it's not only that, it's corrupt politicians we have. until you wake up and recognize that the news media is not our friends, never was and never will be. They are not giving you truthful information. They are trying to get you destroyed and our country destroyed. That's all they want. They are advocating for hate, and they are telling you at the same time that Trump is hateful. We see their hate, but I haven't seen anything hateful about Trump. I've seen nothing but giving of himself wholly. I don't even see his money anymore because that is on the back burner. He put his own finances on the back burner. Granted, what he earned, he deserves. Everybody in America has a right to earn and deserve. When you get to that point, tell me that you want to be treated like that. Treated and lied upon and made to seem like you're in the wrong for protecting America. But if you want most to stay, you want the criminals to stay. Do you know that you can leave if you're worried about my eyebrows? I'm not got a gun pointed at you telling you could stay and look at this woman that doesn't have her eyebrows. I didn't say that, but you have an issue with it, so you are free to go. I'm not holding you at gunpoint over here. I'm trying to make some points to some idiotic people who don't have their wits about them, that get paid, that want to be given money for $200. They'll go out and do whatever you tell them to do because they don't have a mind of their own and they don't stand on anything. So, with that said, I just hope the best for you, and I hope that you can seek better things in life and that maybe have Mexico become great again. Since you don't think Trump can do a good job in America, go and do a good job in some other country and help make those countries great. Because, it's really a burden on people who work hard and pay taxes, and they have to save everybody in the world because there's so much land in this earth that people just waste the land, and they say, well, we can't stay there because they want to kill us, or we don't know how to fight our own good fight, or my people didn't have a choice. And I think you do an injustice to my people when they convolute, people like Maxine Waters convolute the situation of when my people had to fight with the Mexicans and the illegal immigrants that are coming here and trying to force their way into somebody else's country where they have their own country. They just have to stand up to the no kings. They need to tell the cartels that their asses are not kings. And it's frustrating. You won't do that to the cartels, but you do that to a good man in America. You do that to a good man in America, but you won't go to the cartels and tell their asses that they are not kings anymore. You're not that bold. Where's the no kings march in a country that does not have no army pride, no military pride, can't even do anything for themselves over there, but come over and pick somebody else's food for them? Where's the pride in that? You still hold on to old, ancient stuff that don't exist anymore. That's why it's a dying culture, because you're not growing, not progressing, not moving forward. I mean, granted, there's a lot of other Latino countries that are stronger than Mexico right now. And that's because they don't put up with the crime. A lot of them don't put up with the crime. But Mexico is crime infested and nobody wants to make Mexico great again. And I love Mexico. I love Mexican food. And it's an outrage to me because there's still children, there's still families over there in Mexico that nobody is standing up for because they have the cartels as kings in Mexico. And people cannot move forward. And people cannot have a better life there. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Make Mexico great again. Make America great again. Make all these countries around this planet great again. Stop with the nonsense. Let's get rid of the deep state that has been paying people for decades and decades to war in Africa, to war in Iran, to war in Syria, to war in Afghanistan. Let's get rid of the cancer. Let's get rid of the cancer so we all can be peaceful on earth and live and enjoy food, drinks, music. This is the life. This is the life. Not strife, my way, I want, I need. No, that is not the way. Your selfish sexuality, your selfish, I want to kill a baby, your selfish, just everything, selfish, me, I, individual, I just want this. No, that is not life happiness. Life happiness is taking accountability and doing the right thing. Can you do the right thing? Can you do the right things? That's all. That's the number one answer. Can you do the right? Do you even know what the right thing is? Do you even know what the right thing is? You cannot illegally do things and expect a great result. You coming over here and demanding your dirty ass to be here in a country where we have rules and laws. But somehow it's supposed to make it great. LA is not great. You kicked out people that look like me. You firebombed their house. You shot into their homes. You gang banged. You did all kinds of stuff and kicked people out from their communities they've been in for decades and decades. So now you're demanding that this is the way that you civilized people do things? Is this the way civilized people? We're supposed to give you due process on our backs after we've had bad governments for decades who always put their foot into creating problems and issues. Because without problems and issues, they cannot breathe. They cannot exist. But I'm here to say today we've had it up to here with problems and issues. We don't need them. We're adults. We got serious business on our hands that we need to take care of. We don't need people being poor in the streets anymore. You can go to the cartel kings for that if you want. Cartels, they're getting kicked out of the country too. They need to go. Crime and cartels do not need to be in America. Because look, Mexico, they're kings over there, and they did not make America great at all here. They did not make Mexico great, so they cannot make America great for us. So we have no need for those kind of kings. So So no kings, cartels in America no more. King, really, you need to go, and no kings. We really need no kings to go to Mexico and to get rid of those kings. Please get rid of those kings, and then we can see how things work out. If things start smoothing out better once we get rid of the king cartels in Mexico, only then will everything be smoothed out, and you'll see a process working greatly. You'll see trade beautiful. You'll see everything work out for the best. Food, drink, party, good times, mutual respect. You cannot see that now because it's too much harm, hurt, pain happening to children, women, and it's due to your king cartels. They want to say it's King Trump. There's no king here in America. When I voted and many other Americans voted for Trump. Trump is, he even told you himself he could not be a king. So, not the way he's getting treated. I mean, the cartels get better treatment, way better treatment, because, we got wealthy people here that are supporting the cartels, that are, you know, they don't mind the crime. They don't mind all that stuff because evidently they think it's the way, they think it's good. They like it because they got money. They can indulge in that. What they say, um, idle hands is the devil's plans. He likes when you're bored and you're idle and you got all this money. That's what you can do. You can enjoy yourself on enjoyment and what the king cartels do. And Bill Gates, they got to find their thrill somehow, huh? They all got to find their thrill somehow. And the ones that own the news media, those are rich oligarchs. And you listen to them. You listen to CNN. CNN be they are controlled and powered. Probably it seems like the cartels own them too. Like king cartels get whatever they want. So it's sad because people don't realize that um, that's what you need to do. You need to go to Mexico and protest bigly against the king cartels because, from what I'm understanding, the president is in their pockets. They got the president in their pockets and they rule. And they even tried to come over here and rule. But we can't let that happen because they're harming children and they're harming young men and they're harming women. And those things cannot happen anywhere on this planet. You cannot harm women and you can harm children. And you cannot turn our young men into something that they are not supposed to be. They are not supposed to be gangbangers. They're not supposed to be gays. They're supposed to be what they're put on earth to be: strong men, smart men. And one thing I can't stand is people messing with intelligence of others. Um, and that's what I see the news media doing. That's what I see the news media doing. And it's horrible. The lies, the lies, the lies, the lies, and the manipulation, the manipulation. And this is the same thing, like I said, that's the same thing they do to these young men when they want to get them into the gangs. And a lot of mothers are trying to save their kids, so they come here. They come to America because the crime in Mexico is so horrible. But we got to sort out some things because people took advantage. Well, not people, but I say our politicians in the past have taken advantage of the situation due to the powerful people controlling them, and they don't mind it. They made our politicians, they made lots of money. Our politicians, such as Newsom, they have made a lot of money through dealing with the cartels. And, you know, if they're not marching in the streets against the cartels, then that should say it all. They should say it all, because they don't know the root of the whole problems, where the root of the whole problem stems from. It's just too much crime in our streets, and all of it's got to go. All of it's got to go. And unfortunately, these people allow themselves to be used for, they wanted money. They want $200 a day to go out there and protest for no kings. And they're not protesting for no kings in Mexico, though. And I don't get that. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because we work hard over here in America. We pay taxes, and our taxes go to other countries, and our taxes have been going to helping these people, which is going to the crime and the criminal industry. And not only that, the prison industry. I mean, it's like people actually work hard in America, and this is abuse. All of this is abuse. All that is going on now is abuse of America and its people. And something needs to be done. And I don't know, they get upset and they want to tell you that if Trump wanted to shut down the news media, because it's really dangerous. The news media is really dangerous. If you notice, we never had a news media before in the past that talked about a president like they do now. And you got to know that there's got to be an agenda. If you don't learn from other countries that they do the same propaganda, and that's why they end up having people like in Haiti, that they ended up shooting their president in Haiti, ambushing him and killing him. If you don't know what happens in other countries with their news media, which was getting all the, radio and stuff like that overseas, was getting money from USAID. They were getting money from taxpayers, from us, to do all this destruction around the world. That is very unsettling, and that's very frustrating for me, because like I said before, Americans work too hard for our money to be abused. Matter of fact, we need our money here in America. And many of these politicians and many of these oligarchs, they want our money they don't want anybody else to be wealthy. They don't want the country to be great. They want things to continue, and they always need that slave people on the bottom to do that. Personally, this is how you solve the food issues. You all know that I grew some beautiful kale. This is how we solve our food issues. We instead of having farmers RDA the people, because American people that's how we can get our money back. That's how we can prevent food food droughts. Get back into growing our own food. Because I tell you, when I buy lettuce from the store, that lettuce does not last me. So it's a waste of money. It's a waste of my money to go to somebody and buy lettuce from them. That's why I started growing kale, my own kale, because I like to, so you can have more of that green veggie that you need in your diet. You cannot tell me that we have wasted so much money bringing in immigrants to do our gardening when we can do our own gardening. And because the whole thing is, look at it this way: lettuce, all these vegetables, you cannot hold in your house for very long. That's just a fact of everything. Tomatoes, all that, onions, all that does not last very long in the kitchen. Who can attest to that? I'm sure there's a lot of people. So that's a waste of money. I got lettuce right now. No matter what you try to do to it, it ain't gonna preserve. The only way you're gonna preserve lettuce and tomatoes and onions is in the backyard. You pick it when you need it. You manicure and you take care of it. Other than that, buying it at the store is a waste of my freaking money every day, because I can go a day and I say, well, I bought a lot of salads, right? And I want to eat them each day, different, days. You got to hurry up and eat those suckers, because they do not stay beautifully green for long. They do get brown. So we all are supposed to be growing our own foods. We all are supposed to have been growing our own food, and it's a waste, so we don't have these droughts. It's unnecessary. See, that's why the grocery store sells seeds. The grocery store sells seeds, and you can buy those seeds in the summertime, and we can start growing. And I'm telling you, here in Virginia, I grew my kale, and it lasted year round. The only thing I would say is make sure you get a greenhouse and you protect, because there's going to be creatures roaming around and they're going to ravish through your stuff. And that's what happened to me. I had a garden attack because I didn't have a protection over kale. Um, my kale, like I said, it grew beautifully, and I did not want for anything. I didn't have to go get that lettuce and for spend that money for the lettuce, and it ended up going brown quickly. So when somebody says somebody's feeding you, what do, America? You feed yourself. You say, no, I'm not going to be dependent on anything. I am not going to be dependent on anything. Not these grocery stores. I've always had a problem being dependent on grocery stores. But, you know, because the food in there is not good. And I'm glad the JFK is going to address that. And changes are coming around the way, but not fast enough, because we all have these health issues. And we just need to start eating pure, and we need to save on time. And to save on time, and to make sure that when you have to replenish or you need something, that it's not going beige on you, not going brown. Because I'm telling you, lettuce does not last anybody any time. It does not. Lettuce does not give you no time to say, okay, in 3 days I want to have a hamburger, a cheeseburger with some lettuce and all that on it. No, it doesn't give you that time. It's like you use it now immediately, or you just throw it out. So that's a waste of energy and time and money to me. Because so when they talk about we need somebody over here, no, Americans don't need anything. We're too blessed and too fortunate in this country to have so much greenery around us, and to be able to grow our own, to be dependent on some people that can't even take care of themselves in their own country. They have to run over to our country and try to get something, because the cartels are king, and they don't want to do anything about that. See, we're trying to make America great by getting rid of the crime, infestation. But I can see now that people still want, they don't, there's people that don't want America to be, flourish and to grow and to be good. And it's too evident. They don't even like the flag. They didn't like the military. They griped about the military parade. They griped about. They don't even like having a president anymore. They, they, king. They say that's king. Having a president in America, they call that being a king. So there's a lot of things they don't like. But if they go to Mexico, and I doubt if they would go there and talk about no kings, cartels, because the cartels get more than what Trump has done. They get way more, and they actually are king enough where they can run people out of Mexico, and they're running people. Those kings have ran people out of Mexico. Trump just asked that you leave America and you come back in the right way because he needs to see the criminals gone. He needs to make these criminals never come back here again. Because the criminals are only what the last administration allowed in to destroy America. Because the last administration, they've always been destroying America. Yes, Democrats allowed for a lot of things to happen in America to not make it great. But as you can see, I'm not going to another country. I'm not fleeing to another country because I don't have to do that. Because there's no other country that's greater than my country here. Unfortunate for you guys. There's no other country that is greater than this country that I live in, that I come from. But there are countries that are trying to make themselves great. And that is something that, those are the countries that I would visit. Because I would feel safe visiting those countries because I know they have rules and laws and they're not allowing people to just be tyrants in the middle of the street and destruct. And I mean, you got to put your foot down. You cannot be a passive government and allow people to. And the blue states are actually allowing people to do whatever they want to do and allowing people to take over. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Even though here in America, the people are the government. We are the government. But even us, we're not trying to, Americans are not taking to the streets and trying to destroy our own countries. American patriots, those who really love America, are not taken to the streets. We don't even want to breathe the same air because we think that might be contagious, that craziness might just be contagious. And then we might start agreeing with cartels being allowed to be kings. I will never get to that point. So I don't want to breathe the same air as these protesters, and I would never be out there like that. Never. Because I'm not desperate for $200, even though I need it right now. I'm not that desperate. Those bills can wait, or they can turn off my phone. I don't need it. I don't need to go against myself. I don't need to be out there half-witted. Like I don't have a brain, but I can walk and I can follow. But I don't need to be like that. That's not me. I do my own thing, and that's more me. But I'm not a follower. I'm not a follower. Yeah, I would never be a follower. and I would never be guided or controlled by money. People out here saying, but Trump is not paying you $200 to be out there acting like a fool. Look who's paying you $200 to act like a fool and to destroy. You think it's separate? You think they didn't pay those looters to do what they're doing? You don't think they paid people? They paid the people on January the 6th. They paid FBI agents. They got overtime to go out and to make like they're regular people and to incite what they incited and misguide the people to think that Trump caused that. I can see where someone with no wits could see June the 6th as something that Trump started, but because I'm above that, my IQ is so high. I was told never to never to talk about my IQ. Um, I know the difference. I know the difference between someone pulling my leg and telling me, and somebody pulling my leg. I know the difference when that happens because people lie, and I know that the news media misguides people, and they feel like their opinions, instead of real reporting, they give in their emotional opinions. And whenever somebody does that, you should cut it. You should cut that out off because emotional people. That's what Hitler was. He was emotion. He had emotional issues. He had emotional issues that went out of control. And to think you don't even know the history to know that some of these people, the very same people, come from the people that put Hitler in office. And they're just repeating the same book of destruction now upon all people in all countries. Because until Trump came in and was able to see where they were getting the money from our taxpayers, and how they were maneuvering the money to be destructionists on earth, and he put a stop to that, and they started squirming and they started getting pissed and they started doing all the stuff that they're doing against Trump, because he will cut off the taxpayers' money from their agendas. Without our money, they cannot go out and intentionally destroy anymore, like create war in different places as they have done. My issue is I think we need to cut off money to Israel as well. I wholeheartedly feel like we should never be giving any other country our hard-working money. And why? Because I never agreed with Israel, period. If a country is just becoming a country and they had to take people from one land and put them in another land, and all of a sudden they get this epiphany, oh, this has always been our father's land, this has always been our land. No, I don't. I told you guys, you're not gonna pull my leg. You're not gonna pull my leg. You're not gonna lie to me. You're not gonna piss on top of my head and just tell me it's just raining. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna be able to do that. That's why I'm not even religious. That's why I'm definitely not religious. But I am spiritual. And I do know that in spiritual, people put too much power into spirituality. I think we put too much power into spirituality and not realize that it doesn't come from an unseen thing, an unseen being, but it is an unseen thing, but it's not an unseen being. It's what I'm realizing. It's just, it's energy. It's, 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 it's energy. It's energy. That's what it is. I'm trying to get this fly out. And that energy, none of it's joking. Probably Bill Gates mosquito. Bill Gates mosquito. I think those are only in Florida, but who knows where they are at these days. So energy, it's like that something, it's what cycles around, right? And if you noticed, Trump does not have to lift a finger. All Trump has to do against his enemies, against our enemies of America, all we have to do, we don't have to lift a finger. We don't have to come up with plans. They're jumping through hoops, trying to do this, trying to do that. Look at Maxine Waters out there on the streets, trying to do this, trying to do that. And she's an old woman, but she has to lift a finger. She has to lift a finger to do her evil deeds. When goodness is going to automatically, and that's called energy. That's, I don't think it's a man called God, a man called Jesus. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's a God. I just think it's the God in you and me that does all this wondrous stuff. And until people realize that all you have to do is breathe in and breathe out, and wicked people cannot breathe in and breathe out. They're not doing that. They're out there hyperventilating, trying to put all the blocks into place and trying to destroy. Where we're over here doing chi, and we don't even have to lift a finger. Just eat my dust. Just eat my dust. Because their fight is not right. And if their fight is not right, then it's going to dissipate. It's going to go away. It's going to die. It's a lost cause. Because it's wrong and it harms other people. And it can't be. See, if it wasn't harming other people, then it would win. But because it's harming other people, lots of other people, then it can't. It can't win. It won't win. It's a losing